Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I want to talk about physique inflation and our modern unrealistic body image expectations. So a new He-Man trailer just dropped recently, and there's a lot of chatter online. There are a lot of people complaining, saying this new He-Man is skinny or he looks like a wuss. So here's a picture of the He-Man from that trailer. And if you saw this guy in real life, you'd think, hey, this guy works out. He looks solid, he looks strong. Now, here's an AI modified image of how people think he should look. Now, is this physique possible? Sure. But most of the people who have this type of look are genetic outliers who they're taking some special supplements, if you know what I mean. So for an actor to look like that, he's going to need a lot of time. And an actor is not going to get into that shape for a role like this unless he knows years ahead of time, right, that he's going to have this role and they have nothing else, right? No other roles to worry about. It's just this role. You focus on that. You have 2 years to doll everything and get in great shape. Or two, they got to take some special substances. So either one, you have an actor, realistically, who's not going to look exactly like how you want them to look. Two, you find an influencer or a bodybuilder who has this look that you think He-Man should look like, but they're probably going to be a terrible actor. Three, you expect this real actor to take some steroids so they can look like a cartoon character. So none of those really seem like good options. Setting those points aside, I think the real problem comes down to how social media and Hollywood have really skewed our perception. So a lot of these people who complain about this new He-Man being wussy or whatever, they're probably the same type of people who hold up the 80s and 90s as this golden era of buff, jacked action heroes. So let's take a look at that. Right, Sylvester Stallone, he was one of the biggest action stars of that era. So here are some pictures of Stallone from Rambo and Stallone from Rocky II. Now he looks good, he's in great shape. He's pretty lean in Rambo, but he's not a big guy. If you put a shirt on him, he probably wouldn't even stand out. You wouldn't even know that he was muscular at all. Right, and in Rocky II, once again, he's in shape. That's a good physique. But you compare it to what people are expecting these days, they'd probably say he was mid or he's just average. So my point is just what these people remember or think these guys look like isn't really how they really looked, which is because their perception has been skewed by all the, genetic outliers or tons of people on steroids that they see all over the place right now, creating these unrealistic expectations, making them think that that's the new norm and that's how people should look. Honestly, if you look at Rocky here, he's probably smaller. I mean, in Rambo, he's definitely smaller than this new He-Man. And in Rocky II, in terms of mass, he's about the same as this new He-Man, but I think still shorter. So he'd be a smaller, less imposing person in real life. He would definitely stand out less than this new He-Man. If they were lined up next to each other in real life and you ran into them, you would definitely think the new He-Man was probably like a bigger, stronger guy. Sorry to break from the video, but I'm pretty new to YouTube. I'm just a normal guy like you. I'm not a pro content creator. I don't have a cameraman or editor or anything like that. I'm just a regular person who used to be a former personal trainer who's now dealing with all the things that life throws at you, right? There's work and life, and I'm just doing my best to stay in shape and using the knowledge I do have and filtering out the new information that I pick up and just trying to give you useful, practical ways to help improve your health as well, right? For regular people out there like me who are working out in their home gym. So if you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. If you have any comments or suggestions, that would be really appreciated as well. And now back to the video. For a more direct comparison, here's the new 2026 He-Man next to the old Dolph Lundgren 1987 film version. Now, if you ask these people, the type of people who are complaining about the new He-Man, about the Dolph Lundgren He-Man from 87, they'd probably think that they'd probably say, oh, he was really buff, he was really masculine, he was like a great He-Man. But if you look at this picture of these two guys side to side, Dolph isn't really that much bigger or more jacked. I mean, he's got a little bit better lighting here, but if you really break it down, it's not like he's a lot more massive or a lot more like shredded or anything. So for another example, here's Chris Evans as Captain America and Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy. The reason I use these two is because they're more modern, right? Before I'll show you 80s and 90s examples. These two guys are for more recent modern movies. Right? When Captain America came out, Chris Evans, people were saying, oh, he looked great. Look how buff he was. He got in great shape for the role. Chris Pratt used to do comedy. He was a bit chubbier. And people talk about how he transformed his body for Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you look at these pictures, they're not really bigger or more jacked than the new He-Man. Chris Pratt looks like his abs might be a bit more defined in this photo, but his rib cage is tucked down a little bit. He's got a slight slouch, which is allowing for a bit more contraction of the rectus abdominis muscles. But Chris Evans, I mean, I think he looks great here. But if he came out today, people would probably call him mid or average workout guy. So that's just to show that even in the modern era of movies, physique inflation has ramped up even more, right? Even just from Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy. So a little while ago, I watched Physical Asia on Netflix. And one of the things that I really like about that show, other than the entertaining competitions with a bit too much slow-mo replays, is that all these high-level athletes come in different shapes and forms, right? Not just the archetypical, really buff, really shredded thing we think of. And if you take the Mongolian team, for example, which is a pretty popular team, and you take their captain, this guy isn't super jacked and muscular or super shredded, but he's a high-level athlete, and he's definitely a strong dude. If he rolled up on you on the street, you wouldn't want any piece of that. Now, another example that I used to hear a lot about, not as much anymore, but is Nikola Jokic. So he's an NBA, right? He's a basketball player. And a lot of people look at this guy, and a lot of people commentators used to always say, oh, he needs to get in shape. He needs to get in shape just because he's not built like some of these other athletes, right? He doesn't have these well-defined muscles. But dude, this guy plays 35 minutes a game at MVP level in the NBA, right? NBA pace. And he's putting up MVP numbers, right? A lot of people think he's the best basketball player in the world. The dude's in shape. A lot of these people you see online who are more jacked, more shredded, I guarantee you a lot of those people are not going to be able to keep up with him on the basketball court. So people are built differently, and you can't tell if someone's in shape just because they look a certain way, right? Not everybody's going to hold muscle or carry fat the same way and have that same type of physique or look. So that's why I like to bring up Nikola Jokic, because he's obviously in shape. He plays heavy minutes at a high level in the highest level of basketball league in the world. I remember watching the 2002 Spider-Man movie back in college, and there was the Tobey Maguire shirtless scene after he gets bitten by the radioactive spider, and he has his transformation, he gains his powers, right? But I remember seeing that scene when I was in college and thinking, hey, Tobey Maguire looks great, he got buff. And the truth is that in the real world, if you had that physique and you took your shirt off, you would get the same reaction, right? We haven't biologically changed that much. People look at you and people will be like, hey man, you look great. You're working out, you look good. I mean, even Thor doesn't look like Thor anymore, right? You look at Chris Hemsworth now, he's still in great shape, but he doesn't look like how he did during Thor, right? Because that was just too much work, too much maintenance, and it's really hard to maintain that if you don't have that monetary, contractual, or specific film motivation to keep that going. So if Thor doesn't even look like Thor anymore, then who says you need to look like Thor? So all it comes down to, basically my point of this whole video, is that social media and Hollywood aren't the real world. Don't let them distort your view of how a good physique, right, or a healthy or fit person looks like. Just like everything else in life, right, your fitness is your own journey, right? So run your own race to your own goals and don't worry about the rest.